Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are doing NFL Week 9 predictions. But before we do that, I feel like we should go through the Week 8 results since that was my first time ever doing a predictions video. So starting off with Game 1, Vikings-Rams. So I got that wrong, but who knows? Who knows? If it hadn't been for that no call, the Rams might not have won it. You never know. So kind of interfered with the prediction. Maybe, you know, maybe that doesn't count. Maybe I wasn't wrong. Who knows? We'll never know now. Investigate that ref. Paid. Packers-Jags. This is actually one that I didn't think was going to be as close as it was, but it was pretty close. The Jags put up a surprisingly good fight, which is, you know, in my opinion, good for the longevity of the team this season, and, you know, I hope they continue to keep it up. Cardinals Dolphins. They actually won by 1 point, and I'm so happy they did. Look, it's like I said in the last video, I've never been into the Cardinals. I have been into Tua, I have been into Tyreek Hill. However, Cardinals have been fighting lately. You know, they've been earning these wins, and I'm really happy for them. So, you know, I'm glad they got this one under their belt. Jets Patriots. This one I think was surprising to everybody. Jets are going out sad, man. It sucks. This is just kind of the Jets curse, I think. You have a guy like Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys that should be doing well, but because they're on the Jets, they're not. They should not be doing this badly. Grammar. Also, I want to mention, surprisingly, someone ran the numbers, I think, and I think it's over 30% of teams in the league this year have 2 wins or less this late. Like, that's so crazy to me. How many teams are doing so badly like the Jets? This is not an isolated issue. Jets get a lot of crap for it, like they're the only ones, but this is just a weird year for offenses that should be doing well. Can't believe that happened. Ravens, Browns. You know, I don't think a lot of people saw this as surprising as normally it would be. I think with that element of Deshaun Watson being out, everyone was kind of like, who knows? Maybe Jameis Wilson, you know, this is a team that went to the playoffs last year, so it's a change in quarterback. It was kind of like there was a little bit of that. There was an element of that, like, that people were kind of open to. Maybe the team starts to click now, and it did. It did for this game, at least. You know, I wanted the Ravens to win. I was super confident, but it wasn't too bad of a loss. You know, it is what it is. I think Lamar also got injured. Eagles, Bengals. I don't know about y'all. I could see that coming a mile away. Colts, Texans. Again, I saw the Texans winning. I did not see them winning the way they did. Anthony Richardson. Read the room, bro. Lions, Titans. No surprise there. I was right. Falcons, Bucks. This one was actually a really close one. I started to freak out about it because I wasn't sure, but I had the Falcons, and I chose correct. I mean, look, it's just Bucks have one of the worst defenses in the league. You know, their offense just got worse. So, I mean, it was a close game. It was a close game, but you know, if you've been paying attention to the season that the Bucks have been having, I mean, you could see the writing on the wall for that one, really. Saints, Chargers, yep, that was obvious. Bills, Seahawks, yep, so was that. Commanders, Bears. I was wrong about this one. I'm so surprised that the Bears let it get away the way they did. I cannot fathom what the hell that defender was doing. I can't even remember his name. Chiefs, Raiders, not really a surprise, but I commend the Raiders for how close that was. Panthers, Broncos. I'm just happy we didn't somehow blow the lead, but I was right. 49ers, Cowboys, yep. And then Giants, Steelers. I mean, look, honestly, for most of that game, it was pretty close. I was surprised with how well the Giants defense was doing. Again, it's like I said, Russell Wilson is, I mean, he's like, when you guys actually face a team with a positive record, maybe then I'll start to get off Wilson's back. But the Steelers fans that are on his meat like crazy, it's insane to me. They look at a couple stats from last year, make absolutely no effort to understand the context of any of those touchdowns, any of those wins. They just look at the Miami game from last year and go, yup, the Broncos defense was horrible. They treated him wrong. They blame the defense, they blame the special teams, the receivers, the coaches, never Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can never do any wrong. The Broncos just didn't know how to use him. Even though they won here, we saw a lot of the issues that he had on the Broncos where they were having to work around him, not use him. The cracks are starting to show. So far, he's only faced 2 terrible New York teams. When he goes up against a contender like the Commanders, the Chiefs, the Ravens, you know, then we'll see. Then we'll see how he does. But yeah, that was it for last week's schedule. Let's get into this week's predictions. So by the time this video comes out, we're probably gonna be late to this prediction. It'll probably have already happened, but Thursday night game, Texans versus the Jets. Look, man, these are 2 teams that I like. I'm a Broncos fan, but I like both of these teams. I like Stroud. I love what he's been able to do for this team. I love Aaron Rodgers. I love Devontae Adams. I love that team. I want them to do well. But I gotta say, I want the Jets to win that one. I want them to win it so bad. Their offense needs to start clicking now. This needs to be the game. It needs to start happening. Their playoff chances are essentially over, but I'm pretty sure there's a sliver of a chance. Let's start winning now, please. Win the next, like, what, 1,000,000 games that you have left? Just don't lose. Just don't lose. All right, then we have the Saints versus the Panthers. Can someone, is Derek Carr back in? How long is he out for? Damn it, I just checked. He is. I really wanted this to be Rattler's game, but it looks like it's not gonna be. However, if they can put up the points that I think they can, maybe Rattler can get some good reps reps in during the end of a winning game. You know what I mean? But yeah, if it's not clear by now, Saints all the way. I mean, Panthers are just, we beat them last week. You know, they still have all the same problems. I don't know if Andy Dalton is still out or not, but pretty sure Adam Thielen is still questionable or out or something like that. They just traded one of their receivers to the Ravens. So not only do they bench Bryce Young to bring in Andy Dalton, but then Andy's injured, bring Bryce back in, still lose more receivers, and also the injuries on the Panthers. Oh my god, look up the injury report right now. They have so many guys out. It's awful. They have no chance. It's the Saints. I don't care. I don't know if they still have those major defensive injuries, but I don't think that matters. Commanders, Giants. Oh boy, coming off a win like that, there is no way the Commanders lose that. There's just no way. Like I said, I thought the Giants actually played surprisingly well versus the Steelers, but not well enough. Daniel Jones is still proving to be a problem. Everyone blames Brian Daboll, but he almost saved that game. He saved a game where that almost seemed like it was over, right? But then Daniel Jones threw it away. Don't forget, guys, bad coaches ruin good quarterbacks. They ruin good teams. If Brian Daboll were a bad coach, they never would have gotten to the playoffs. He got Daniel Jones there, not the other way around. Daniel Jones is the problem. And I'm not one of those guys that likes to hate on Daniel Jones. Like, as a person, I'm sure he's great. On the field, he is just not it. You guys need to get rid of him. You need to invest in somebody else right now. Get Jake Browning from the Bengals. I'm sure he'll do great. All right, then we got Dolphins, Bills. Look, I don't want to rain on Tua's parade now that he's back in. Like, glad he's okay, glad he can still perform. I just don't believe in the Dolphins. And you know what sucks is if this keeps happening, Mike McDaniel is going to get blamed for it. I know he's not on the hot seat right now, but if he doesn't make major changes, probably get a new quarterback, eventually he's probably going to take a lot of crap for it, and I don't want to see that. I do want the Dolphins to win. I just don't believe they can. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, right? They came pretty close with the Cardinals, but it's the Cardinals we're talking about here. Look, I give Josh Allen a lot of shit. He looks so consistent this year. He looks so good. He ruined his no interception streak last game, but him and the Bills, like, their offense is so good. They're like the Chiefs if the Chiefs actually earned all of their wins. You know what I mean? Defensively too, the Bills are really solid. So on both sides of the ball, I mean, it's just like they're just too good. I don't see the Dolphins, you know, Tua's still a little bit fresh off the injury, so I don't know, maybe they'll surprise me. I mean, where is this at? Oh yeah, no, they're done. I just looked. Dolphins are playing in Buffalo. The Bills are at home. The Dolphins are gonna have to come out in the cold after losing their game against the Cardinals at home in the heat. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't see it at all. All right, then we have the Chargers versus the Browns. Look, as a Broncos fan, say what you will about the Chargers. I know I do. Defensively, they have looked fantastic. And, you know, check the stats if you don't believe me. Like, they've been ranked like top 5, top 3 for like a good chunk of the season. They've, you know, dropped a little bit here and there. I think right now they're probably a little bit lower, but like overall they've been great. Browns did win against the Ravens, but the Ravens defense is ranked really, really low, like bottom of the barrel low, like 32 low on a lot of stats. So with the Browns offense still kind of coming together, solidifying, you know, they had a good game because they were going up against an easy defense, a relatively easy defense. Although I do think Ravens rushing yards allowed, I think they're number 1. So they have a bipolar defense, right? And I think the Browns offense is pretty pass heavy, so, you know, probably wasn't an issue for them. For the Chargers with an actually good defense, like consistently great, like top of the line great, I think this is going to be a bit of a problem for them. Justin Herbert has been playing well now that injuries really are kind of out of the conversation. Jim Harbaugh has been doing his best losing to teams like the Cardinals, giving them their, you know, win streak opportunity, but, you know, for the most part they've been doing well. I gotta give it to the Chargers. Maybe Winston and all them will surprise me. I still don't like that they have guys like Amari Cooper now not there, so I mean, we'll see. I still think the Chargers though. Now we have the Patriots versus the Titans. Now this one kind of depends on whether or not Drake May's back in. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, what was it? They were looking into whether or not he had a concussion. I don't even know if he did. I'm not gonna look it up. But, you know, team came together well enough with Jacoby to pull off a win against the Jets and the refs. The refs were crazy on the Patriots in that game, and they still overcame it anyway. So I don't know, maybe things are starting to click on the defense and the offense for the Patriots a little bit there. However, is it enough to go up against the Titans? Titans offensively suck. They've been losing all their games. They have been just as bad as I expected them to be going into this season. I wasn't really expecting anything at all. However, defensively, I gotta give credit. They are ranked number 1 in a lot of categories defensively. Like, they are surprisingly good for how many games they lose. Like, their defense is trying. So it's really going to be a question of if the Patriots could upset the Jets, right? Can they do it to the Titans, one of the like best defensive teams in many categories? I think in passing yards, honestly, I don't know. Maybe this is another win for the Titans. I think it might be. I don't know. Until the Patriots can be consistently good with a single quarterback, I just can't believe in them. You know what I mean? They've been so inconsistent, so close a lot of times, but so inconsistent. Titans have been really close a lot of the times, but, you know, essentially it's just been losing. That being said, they are coming off a loss, a big loss against the Lions, but maybe there's a difference in difficulty. You know what I mean? Lions are a Super Bowl team. Like, looking at them right now, they're crazy. They're crazy, dude. So I think maybe the Titans get a little bit of relief going up against the Patriots, and there's like, you know, they can feel the difference when playing. Like, it's not as hard as going up against the Lions, so they can take down the Patriots pretty easily. I'm gonna go with Titans. We'll see how that one plays out. I don't know. And we have the Falcons versus Cowboys. One thing that does bother me about the Falcons right now is that Justin Simmons, great safety from the Broncos last year and many years before then, I believe he's questionable. Like, just having weapons like that not there, I think could be a problem defensively. But then again, the Cowboys are guys like Micah Parsons and who else was it? Another great player, also questionable. So that's, you know, questionable. I don't know. At some point, the Cowboys are due, so I'm like really picky about when I'm gonna predict them coming back. I cannot assume that they're gonna come off that loss playing their best football. Meanwhile, the Falcons just beat a team like the Bucks. You know, a division game, so I gotta give it to the Falcons. You know, Kirko's doing great. Raiders Bengals. I mean, with how close the Raiders and Chiefs game was, you know, how well the defense was able to hold the Chiefs and keep the offense in the game. I mean, they might have a shot here. Problem with that game was the Raiders let it go so many times. They made, like, there's still such a huge problem with play calling. I don't know what Antonio Pierce is doing. He needs to clean that shit up. It is absolutely atrocious, the calls that they are making on first, second, third, fourth and goal. It should not be happening. It is embarrassing what's happening on offense right now. And I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them at all to start beating teams. I mean, this one is kind of tricky because the Bengals have one of the worst offenses in the league. Defenses. One of the worst defenses in the league. So maybe they just, you know, present the win to the Raiders on a silver platter. I don't really know. And with how the defense held the Chiefs, it's like they knew how important it was. They brought their best. It's really just a question of, do they bring their best to one of the best statistical offenses in the league, even though the Bengals haven't been winning. This one is so difficult because I feel like it could swing either way, but because of how disastrous the Raiders are as an organization and how just stupid they've been playing because of Antonio Pierce, I gotta give it to the Bengals. I do. Okay, here's the big one. Broncos Ravens. Okay, so this is my team, but I do love the Ravens. Ravens, I often like to say, are my number 2 team. Like I mentioned earlier, Lamar is questionable. That is very, very big. I think it said back injury and knee injury. So like, we don't even know if he's gonna be in the game. I think all the Broncos fans hearing that are like, first of all, we kind of want him in the game to see if we're that good, but also it's like, people are hearing that he might not play in the game, and it's like, oh, well then we have an easy win. No, because if we lose, that makes it look even worse. That makes us look bad. That makes us like, oh. Look, we have a really interesting and difficult challenge ahead of us here. Everyone has been saying we've had easy teams. We have not. We've had a couple easy teams, but so does every team. Somebody ran the numbers, ran the averages. Broncos are the 3rd youngest team on average in the league right now. And that team started out against the Seahawks in the Seahawks stadium and then went up against the Steelers defense. And then our defense had to hold the Bucks offense. And then we had to deal with the Jets defense under Robert Saleh. And then the Chargers and their defense. Some of the top defenses in the league still, like this, the entire season, but still now. But people have been reducing us to like, oh, you just play like teams like the Panthers and the Saints. It's like, no, that's not it at all. It's been all over the place. So when people hear that we're going up against the Ravens, people automatically assume that we're going to lose. I think that we can do it. I think we can. Whether or not Lamar is in. Obviously, if he's in, it's going to be a lot harder. I mean, realistically, it's going to be hard no matter what. One of the best things about our offense right now is Javonte Williams. He's back to his rookie year stats. I think he's averaging like 5.5 yards per on average, I think. Can't be sure of that. Point is, he's looking good, and we could just run it a lot of the times, and it's been fine. Our receivers, on the other hand, have been pissing everybody off, including Sean Payton. There have been interceptions that were not Bo's fault because of our receivers. Countless drops. People look at Bo's completion percentage and they blame him. They call him a bad quarterback because of it. But the fact is, our frankly good receivers are not playing well. They're not acting like they're in the NFL. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're letting him down. they are. So it's really going to be one of those things where a game against the Panthers was good practice, good, an easy game, right, to just try out some more plays. And it's also just, you need to go into that game focusing on not dropping the ball. Literally, just keep your hands on it. Keep your hands on it. Keep it in your hands. It's not hard. Because like I mentioned earlier, the Ravens are ranked 32 out of 32 passing yards allowed, overall and per game. They're awful at that. They are ranked number 1 in rushing yards allowed and rushing yards allowed per game. So they're really, really good. They're elite at stopping the run, which, like I said, has been one of our strengths. Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, and Bo Nix. Bo Nix is really good at, when it's falling apart, he's good at running to get a first down. He's done it countless times, and he's had to do it countless times because of our receivers. Unfortunately, that's not gonna work. We're gonna need to get better at passing so that we can make this happen. And maybe, who knows, maybe it'll be easier because we're dealing with a defense that's really bad at defending the passing. Who knows? Luckily for us, our defense is pretty good too. In terms of total passing yards allowed, we are ranked 8. In terms of passing yards per game allowed, we are ranked number 4. In terms of rushing yards allowed, we're ranked, 11. And then in terms of rushing yards per game allowed, I think we're ranked 7. So we're not too bad. We could hold them. It's just a matter of play calling and consistency and whether or not Lamar is in. I'm pretty sure some of their receivers might also still be out. I'm not sure. I really don't know. We're gonna need to bring our A game. I think we can win this, but I think people just don't know how good this defense is and how good this offense can be if the receivers just step their game up. So there's going to be a huge emphasis on that in this game, and I think we could match their efforts. I really do. It's going to be a tight window. It's going to be really tough. All right, then we have the Bears versus the Cardinals. This is an interesting one, seriously. With the Bears coming off that crushing loss and that really frustrating, just losing a game you shouldn't have lost because your key teammates are not pulling their weight. You know what I mean? Offensively, there was a huge problem, a huge challenge in them putting points up, and they were down for a huge portion of the game. At the end of the game, I know you guys already know this story, there was a Bears defender, again, I can't remember his name, taunting the crowd, and then he's the one who tipped the ball for the touchdown that won the Commanders the game. So there is frustration in the locker room. Stuff is not clicking on both sides of the ball. They're getting arrogant. Now they're at the bottom of the division. So because of that, I don't want to automatically write them off and say that, oh, the Cardinals are going to beat them because of that, but I think that does, kind of dampen their chances, kind of discourage them a little bit going into the next game. Who knows, that maybe they could still be arrogant. Maybe they'll assume that the Cardinals are not a worthy opponent and then they're just going to win easily, and then they sell the game and the Cardinals get up early. You never know. I mean, Cardinals went up against the Chargers. Again, like I said, one of the top defenses. They went up against the Dolphins, Tua's first game back, more motivated than ever to win, right? The offense, I remember seeing clips of Tyreek and all them, really happy, really hyped that he was back. And then they lost, right? Because the Cardinals, they were down and they were struggling a lot, but they won it. It was really close, but they fought for it. I think they could do this against the Bears. I'm kind of in on the Cardinals right now. I like what they're doing. I'm surprised with how well they're, popping off right now. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I'm probably going to be wrong about that one just because the Bears defense is so good regardless of any character issues, but screw it. I'm going to say Cardinals. I like what they're doing. They have good energy. This might be the end of their very short win streak. I don't know, but I'm going all in for them. I believe in them a little bit. All right, then we have Jags Eagles. I kind of want to say Jags. Look, dude, I think it's finally slowly starting to click. I really do think it is, and it's been very sluggish. They've been dragging it. It's been a process, but I think the Jags defense has actually been pretty good. The problem is they're so inconsistent with when they're good, right? On certain drives, they'll be playing out of their minds, and then other drives, they'll just let it go. Yeah, you want the touchdown? Go ahead. You can have it if you want. You can go ahead. Right there. It's right there. So it's really I don't know. They're going to have to bring the intensity. I think going up against a team like the Eagles kind of brings that, the assumption that okay, put everything into this. Just solely based off of their defense and how close it actually came with the Packers. I'm going to take the Jags. It's so stupid, but I'm going to take them. Screw it. My better judgment is saying take Eagles, but I'm going to do Jags. Screw it. I think they can do it. I think I'm on kind of an underdog thing today. All right, then we have the Rams versus the Seahawks. This is kind of interesting because these are two teams that have been struggling in different ways. Seahawks fans, I'm a Broncos fan, so it pisses me off a little bit how you guys were acting after the first game this season. Like I said, third youngest team in the NFL, but you saw Seahawks fans losing their minds because they beat us. They beat that young team, right? As if that's a difficult task. I mean, like, game one for an extremely young team, it's like, and then you go up against other teams like the Lions and the 49ers and more recently the Bills, and you get whooped. You get whooped. You start playing like trash. Geno Smith finally starts looking like Geno Smith. Also, I think you guys have a defensive-minded coach, and that defense is really inconsistent, like really inconsistent. The D-line especially, like, has no idea what it's doing. From play to play, it looks like they're just going with the flow. They're just kind of running around. I don't know, like, what the objective is for them. They certainly don't either. It's like starting out with the Broncos. You're essentially like kicking a puppy and then trying to mess with 3 other grown men individually, and each one of them pops you in the mouth. It's been really funny to watch, just the downfall. Like, the Seahawks are still the Seahawks, and there's a comfort in that. You know what I mean? At least for now. So going up against the Rams, who've kind of been slowly coming back, you know, returning to form in a way that all of us kind of expected to see right out the gate this season. They have been able to beat good teams. I think they lost to the Bears, Lions, I think it was. I think they lost to the Lions, but they did beat teams like the 49ers. They've been pretty all over the place, but because we're talking about a team with great potential and has shown that they're capable of beating really good teams, going up against a defense that's been wildly inconsistent, I'm going to take Rams. I'm going to say Matthew Stafford wrecks the Seahawks defense, and they add another loss. I think, what are the Seahawks right now? Like 4-5 or something like that? So I think they're going to go even more negative after this game. Also, what I'm noticing about quarterbacks like Geno Smith is he fails and struggles to read, you know, a defense the minute it gets tricky. You know what I mean? Before he was out, when they went up against the Lions, guys like Hutch were able to completely take advantage of Geno's inability to read a defense. What he would do a lot of the time is just kind of sit there. You know, he would be spying, but he'd be hiding in plain sight. Like, Hutch mastered the art of hiding in plain sight to where Geno would just be making a pass and he would forget that Hutch was right there, and Hutch would just swat it or intercept it or something like that. It happens so many times in that game, and the more you notice that, the more you notice how hard it is for Geno to recognize these things. It really, like, it's hard to have faith in him after that. And then you have things like them, you know, the Seahawks literally fighting each other on the sidelines during the Bills games, and it's like, what are we doing? What the hell are you doing? For a defensive-minded coach, this defense is all over the place. It's as messy as the offense. I don't believe in them. Gotta go with my gut. All right, this is taking too long. We gotta speed this up a little bit. Lions, Packers, Lions. I mean, they're so hot right now, even with the injuries. Dan Campbell, he just knows. He just knows how to run a ship. He does. There's a reason that people have been chanting Jared Goff everywhere. Said it before, I'll say it again. Jordan Love is a fraud. And also, the Packers have an incredibly easy schedule outside of their division games. So, I mean, from what I can recall, it's like they haven't at any point gone up against a team with a winning record. Like, at least that much that they've won against. You know what I mean? So, I'm taking Lions, 100%. All right, then we got Colts, Vikings. I mean, this is really just a question of, with Joe Flacco now as the permanent starter, what is that going to look like, right? Is he going to ball out? Is he going to perform well? I don't know. Anthony Richardson, I mean, I never, like, watched him play. I never, you know, had that hype for him that I think a lot of people did. But now that he's out, I mean, the Colts probably going to get a little bit better, but I don't know if it's enough to take on the Vikings. I still think that the Vikings are going to get a lot of wins out. People are kind of comparing them pattern-wise to, I can't remember what version of the team it was, what year, but they're kind of expecting a lot more losses after, you know, the win streak. I don't know that I am. I really don't. At least with games like these. I mean, Colts defense has slowly been getting better, but on average, not that good. I'm taking the Vikings, 100%. And then we finish it off with the Buccaneers versus the Chiefs. You know, it's like I said earlier, so many injuries on offense, season-ending injuries that should not have happened. For receivers, it's just not good. Defense has been bottom 3 since the beginning of the season. And then the Chiefs, I mean, not only do they have the refs on their side, but, you know, to make it even more unfair, they're ranked like top 3 defensively, at least in a couple categories. So with that and their offense, look, I would love it if Baker Mayfield could be the one to upset them. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I gotta take Chiefs again. But yeah, those are my predictions. Let me know yours down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. That is the video. Thank you for watching.